Greetings and welcome to Growth Hacking Secrets. I'm your host, Mohammed Siddique from Atlanta, Georgia, and the co author of New Success Secrets available on Amazon. On this episode, we have a special guest, Corey Kupfer. Corey is attorney, speaker, and author of Authentic Negotiating. Please join me to give a warm welcome to our guest, Corey Kupfer. Corey, welcome.
It's great to be here, Mohammed. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the time together. Let me start with this. Where were you? What happened? Who you were surrounded with that inspired you to do what you do today?
Well, I went to a special program in high school that was about law and politics, community affairs. So I sort of went into college knowing I was going to be a lawyer, which was an odd thing. So that's what got me there. And then, more recently, I've started writing and doing podcasts and things like that. And really, for me, it's about getting the message of how you can grow through deals when you're a business, and too many companies don't use that opportunity. So I want to get that message out there.
Very few attorneys on social media. Who inspired you to do that transformation for you?
Well, it's interesting. I knew some folks, who were active on social media. People like Joe Alphabaum, who was a friend of mine, Gary Vaynerchuk, so all these folks. And I kept I'm somebody who studies a model and tries to figure out how it really works and just do it. So when I was launching my book 3 years ago, I said, okay, I want to do a social media campaign around the book. And that led me to get active on social media. And then, of course, we have the podcast and various other things that we do. And for the last probably 4 years, we've been very, very active on social.
Wonderful. What are the top 3 mistakes to avoid when it comes to growing your practice?
Yeah, I think for anybody, the first thing is not knowing your why. It's why I sort of love Simon Sinek's work around, knowing your why. Like, if you don't know why you're here and why you're doing something, too many people try to grow businesses and they don't even know why they're doing it, right? So, you need to know your why. The next thing is, for me, is to make sure that you are surrounding yourself with, amazing people, right? So, the mistake people make is that they don't delegate, they don't build a great team, they don't empower people, and they don't hire people smarter than them, and because they're afraid. And then the third thing I'd say is people get their ego engaged too often, right? Whether it's preventing them from building a team or for a million other reasons, and they don't make logical business decisions and make things in the best interest of the company and themselves and their family because they get triggered in their ego, and that's something we all got to work on.
Wonderful. What is your greatest failure story? What did you learn and how did you recover from it?
So, during the Great Recession, 2008, 2009, I had been practicing for, 20 something years already. I thought I was, in great shape, all settled. And then, I'm a corporate deal guy, and there were no deals going on. Clients were going out of business. Next thing I knew, my revenue was down $30, $40, $50, $60,000 a month. And so the mistakes I made were that I had overextended myself a little bit right before that, building out a new office. I did not cut expenses quick enough. I didn't cut people quick enough. I didn't react to it quick enough. The biggest lesson, though, I learned from that was I saw a lot of people during that time hiding out, right? They didn't have the money to pay their, even clients who owed me money, people who are good people, they just didn't want to face it. And I made a decision. Friends of mine were recommending I declare bankruptcy or short sale my weekend house, all that stuff. And I just made a decision for me, not judging anybody else, in my own integrity, that every debt I had taken on, and I ran over $300,000 in debt by the time that thing was done, that I was going to pay back every penny. And I returned every creditor's call. And if they wanted $18,000 tomorrow, I told them they're getting $50 tomorrow because that's all I have. But I sent them the $50, right? I ended up paying back every single penny, kept my reputation intact, came out of it stronger, than ever. And just internally for me, it was a test of my character, and I feel like because I passed that, I've only become more successful since then.
Wonderful. That's an amazing story. Very unique one. Thank you so much for sharing this. Then before I ask the next question, I just want you to promise with me on a live call right now, you are going to give us your best answer, because when it comes to knowledge, we are very greedy. So
Okay.
Okay. So what are your top 3 success secrets that others can model from?
Okay. So for me, number one is make sure that you take 100% responsibility for your own life. Okay. I'm a huge believer in, not being a victim, things happen in life, but I love the Stephen Covey quote that what makes us different as humans is that in between stimulus and response is choice. So we always have a choice on how we react to anything that happens in our life. So we are 100% responsible for our relationship to anything in our life. That's the single biggest thing that's had me be successful. Number two is ask for help. And this is something that I never did when I was in my 20s into my 30s. I had a lot to prove. And you know what? I came to the late 30s, coming into my 40s. I came to the realization that, one, I had nothing to prove anymore. Two, even if I could do it on my own, why? It's so much easier if you ask for help, and get support from people, right? So that's number two, my number two biggest one. And the third one, I guess I would say, for me, it is take some space. I mean, it's so easy to be so driven. But if you don't take time and space, not only just to be on vacation, not thinking about anything away, but also to do some visioning and planning and step out of the day to day. I mean, that story I told about the Great Recession, one of the things that had me get through it was that I was in the weeds trying to figure out how I was going to pay the creditors. And I ended up taking a golf invitation from a friend, which I originally told him I had no time to do, got me out of the office, got me away. And then I ended up going up to my weekend place that weekend and took a 3 days of visioning and planning. And it was that stepping back that had me be able to handle that situation so well. We all need that time.
Wonderful. That's a very impactful. Thank you so much. Is there any bonus secrets, success secrets you want to add?
Let's see. I would say, and it's sort of related, we cannot have external success unless we do the internal work. Okay. I believe the world is manifest from within. I believe, fundamentally our business growth is as the owner, entrepreneur, executive, we will not be financially successful, in relationship successful, growth, whatever it is. All right. Unless we're doing the inner work that we need to do to work on our own stuff.
Wonderful. That's amazing. So we are about to enter into a lightning round. That means quick question and quick answer.
Yep.
So are you ready?
I'm ready.
What are you grateful for today?
The amazing people in my life.
How young are you?
60.
You are not 60. You are 18 years old with a 44 years experience.
There we go. Exactly. I'm a young 60. The numbers don't bother me. I have a long way. I have a lot of runway left in me.
What you want to do when you grow up?
For me, my life has really become about service, and I don't say that as a cliche. Like even in my the clients I work with, the nonprofit work I do, if I can serve and have impact on people, that's what's meaningful for me. So I just want to do a lot more of that.
How do you overcome a challenge life throws at you?
I mean, really, it goes back to two of the things I said before. One, I take that time to step back and really get out of the weeds. And then two, I ask for help and surround myself with great people.
How do you start your day?
So when I am in a good mode, and I'll be honest, when I'm in a good mode, I start my day, taking some space, breathing, contemplating, maybe taking a walk. And then when I'm in a bad stretch, unfortunately, I'll sometimes start my day just hopping up and getting right on a phone call or checking email. And that's always a mistake, but I will admit that that's something I'm still working on.
Thank you for being honest and upfront with us. What is the advice you will give to a younger yourself?
I would say a little more patience, and a little. I mean, not that I regret being a driven person, but there would be too many things that I would. It's a matter of taking a step back and not taking things so seriously, right? And not creating these. I used to create these artificial timelines for myself, and then get upset when I didn't meet them. But like, who created the timeline? Like, it was only me. So it's like, stay intentional, keep moving forward, but don't create these artificial timelines. Just have some patience. Sometimes things take time.
Yeah. Once you have a revenue generating idea, how you convince your significant other?
Well, I am very blessed and very fortunate for two reasons. One, my significant other, she is, amazing, and she gets it. Second of all, she's an entrepreneur as well, runs her own, entrepreneurial companies. So I don't deal with what some couples deal with, where you have one who's an entrepreneur and the other one who doesn't get that entrepreneurial life, or who needs more security, or doesn't want to take the risk. My wife gets it, and in fact, we sort of serve as each other's informal advisors and board of directors. So there's not a lot of convincing to do. We're usually pretty aligned.
Is it okay if I ask a follow-up question on this?
Of course.
How do you find someone like that?
I will say, in the realm of, as you can tell, I'm pretty straightforward. It took me twice to do it. The first one it was not that, and in fact, I used to have a lot of those tensions. But listen, I do believe, and listen, my wife actually has a great story. It's on her side on how she created a vision and 62 criteria for her ideal man, and how I showed up. I do think for me, I did it sort of a little more by trial and error. I think as you date when you're younger, if you're smart, you really pay attention to what works for you and what doesn't work for you, and then you really start looking for those characteristics in somebody. And I got clear, for example, that one of the things I needed was somebody who understood that I was an entrepreneur, that I was going to be taking some risks, that it wasn't going to be, that there's going to be some ups and downs, that, that was important to me.
Yeah, wonderful. What is the impactful book you have read, and what did you learn from it?
So I'm gonna pick one that's maybe less known for some folks. It's called The Science of Getting Rich. All right. The reason why this is just a printout, it's by Wallace D. Wattles, is because this book was published, I think, in 1909. So it's out of copyright, which means you can download it for free. In fact, I'll give my website later. People can go on there. There's a link on the resources page where they can just download it. Wallace Wattles understood something about our relationship to the universe and to how not only monetary wealth, but life success was created in a way that a lot of the personal growth people and money gurus nowadays really rely upon. And he was talking about this stuff back in 1909. It's been a seminal book for me and a number of people I know.
Why being impactful is important to you?
I think I came early on. I think some people come to this later in life. I was in my 30s. I had started my law firm, when I was 30, my own law firm after being at big law firms. And I got to some level of monetary success. And I got to this sort of, is this all there is? Much earlier than some people take till their 50s and 60s to get there. And what I realized was that what turned me on, like making more money, and I have, but whatever, that's not exciting to me. What is exciting to me is making a difference, right? And things I care about in other people's lives and certain issues that I care about. So for me, it's what gives me the deepest satisfaction. And honestly, I think it is what, when I've gotten clear on what I'm here for, that's a big part of what I'm here for, in this lifetime.
Who is your mentor and what's the impact?
Wow. So I've had a number of mentors, including, people like Wallace Wattles, who wasn't even alive. But I will, if I had to pick one person, I would pick my father, because my father, who has passed since about 5 years ago, taught me some very fundamental lessons about, he was never an entrepreneur, but about hard work and persistence and integrity and things like that. So I was fortunate enough to have an amazing dad in my life for a long, long time.
What do you want to be remembered for?
It's interesting. I would say the easy answer is the impact on others, but there's actually part of me that will flip that question and say that is a way I don't want to be remembered. Like the thing that satisfies me the most is when I've made an impact on something, and years later, I could see that impact and other people comment on the impact, but they have no idea that I was the one that made that impact. Okay. I've been involved in organizations where people will say to me, "Oh, I love that they do it this way or that way, or they have this impact, whatever." And I know I was integral in that. And what's best for me is that nobody ever knows it. And I don't say anything. That's actually not being remembered for something where you have an impact.
Yeah, wonderful. Who is your ideal client?
So my ideal client is any company that's looking to grow. We do a lot of deals, a lot of strategy, negotiating advice and deals for entrepreneurial companies of all sizes, startup through larger. and they're looking to grow through various ways. Those are the clients that have a vision, they're creating something, they're building something, and are the ones we can help most.
Mhm. Because you help them to negotiate, you are the author of Negotiating. So is it okay if I ask a question on a little bit on negotiation?
Of course.
So on negotiating, do you look for a win-win, or you look for your client win and the other party you don't really care? You have to kind of, there's the balance. But what's your philosophy of
Yeah,
negotiating?
no. So in that, I mean, certainly I look for win-win over over one-sided, because especially in business deals, because most business deals are either the start or the continuation of an ongoing relationship, right? You have a business partnership, you have a joint venture, you have. But also, here's the problem with win-win, and I know some of the folks who originally came up with it. It's become a cliche. It's great, but it's become a cliche. People will say, I want a win-win negotiation, and then they'll try to tear your heart out, right?
Yeah.
We really got to get to a place where I'm clear on my objectives, you're clear on your objectives. They either meet or they don't meet. And if they meet, we do a deal. And if they don't meet, we do a deal. And either way, Muhammad's not a bad person if I can't get a deal done with him. It just means that his objectives and my objectives don't meet. So, we could spend an hour on describing my fundamental philosophy, but I know we don't have time. It's clarity, detachment, and equilibrium. That's the fundamental philosophy of authentic negotiating, and people can check it out in the book.
Mhm. Wonderful. How can we support you?
So, listen, the hub website is CoreyKupfer.com. And people can go there and they can get to kupferlaw.com, which is my law firm website. They can get information about the Deal Quest podcast. They can get information on Authentic Negotiating book and all the other programs we do. People can just check it out and listen. If we can be of service in any way, whether that's on the law firm side or whether that's I'm a professional speaker, and I run negotiating workshops, we'd be happy to help.
Mhm. Wonderful. And we are about to wrap up. I have one more question. This is self-serving for me. And what would you say about your today's guest experience on the show?
I actually love the format. I've done a lot of podcasts, right? And but I love the format. It's very the way you approach it. It's very clear. There are sometimes, frankly, Mohammed, where I don't like when they give you the questions in advance. But on your format, I actually love it because they're great questions. They're interesting questions. And I like that it's sort of quick, concise, but it's really highly valuable to your audience. So I've had a lot of fun.
Wonderful. Thank you for your kind words. What would you say as a final word?
I would just say to folks, listen, continue. I'm a lifelong learner. That's the other big value that I have, which is why, I love meeting people. I love reading books. I love listening to podcasts. I think that one of the biggest things that can serve you, in addition to just really knowing yourself and becoming introspective, and one of the ways you do that, is just be a lifelong learner. There's so much that, we can learn from everybody, and there's so many things we can learn that'll help us in life and business and everything. So that's what I say.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Corey Kupfer, for sharing your wisdom with us today on the behalf of Growth Hacking Secrets community and our entire team. We really appreciate you. This is Mohammed Siddique signing off from Atlanta, Georgia. Until the next episode, all good wishes.